Good evening, everybody. Dusty Baker here with your weekend sports update. It is August the 13th. Many of you probably either having dinner or preparing to go to bed, and there's nothing better than ending the weekend with a little sports talk as well. So we're going to get right into the thick of things here as we are entering football season. It's a beautiful time of the year, probably my favorite time of the year. My favorite month of the year is October because that's when you have the football season, both college and pro. You're starting to gear up for basketball season. You're in the baseball playoffs. That's a golden time. So we're getting closer to that point, and there's nothing better than kickoff, which for U of L, they are getting awfully close. Under 20 days until kickoff when they kick off against Georgia Tech, September the 1st in Atlanta. That is a conference game as well. And needless to say, U of L is taking advantage of all the practice opportunities they have in front of them before their huge matchup to kick off the season at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons, by the way. So naturally, with them starting to hit and in full pads now at this point, we talked to Coach Brohm about what he's seeing from his team following scrimmage.
The first real scrimmage was productive. I thought we got a lot out of it.
Cardinals head coach Jeff Brohm saying his team has some work ahead of them following their scrimmage Saturday.
And there's some good things on both sides of the ball at times and a lot of things to shore up.
With the clock ticking until kickoff, players are hitting at full contact once again.
Some of the action was live tackle, which was good to do that, and some of the action was thudding it up and kind of putting the ball where we think the stop would be.
With the offense producing under Brohm's new scheme.
On offense, our offensive line has improved, and we've added competition. I think that we've got some young tight ends. We've just got to push them to keep getting better and growing.
As quarterback Jack Plummer begins to settle into his role.
Jack's done a really good job. He's a great leader. He understands our system. He can see the field. He can make all the throws. Consistency, being able to do that all the time is the goal.
Brohm saying the offense is built around Plummer with little mistakes needing to be cleaned up before kickoff.
Third downs, third and longs, he'll get a little greedy and force a few things. We've got to just be smart, take our chances, but also get completions, move the chains.
On the defensive side of the ball, Brohm saying there is work to be done.
We've had some good moments. This maybe wasn't our better day. I thought we gave it too many big plays, so we got to see what exactly happened there. But I do want to be aggressive in how we play defense, challenge routes, get after the quarterback.
And with kickoff 20 days away, it's time for Brohm to assess his team from top to bottom.
It was good to get good live action, and it'll be fun to watch the film and see who really stood out and who didn't. Not
a lot of injuries reported from Brohm, but there was one key one, MJ Griffin in the defensive backs group. He is out for the year with a leg injury. So that was probably the one piece of negative news that Jeff Brohm gave us. One thing that I will say that you didn't see from that list right there, from that talk, was specifically that Brohm is very confident in his quarterback room. He said that while Jack Plummer, this offense is built around him, and he said that verbatim, the other quarterbacks are showing up, and that's something that I think is a good sign. Of course, you want to have depth at that position, and considering the fact this is Plummer's first year in this kind of new system with a new squad, you just never know. It's good to have some sort of security at that position. Outside of that, he said the wide receivers and the running backs, they're kind of figuring out this offense a little bit more, and it just feels like this team is starting slowly but surely to come together at a time when, quite frankly, it's picking up very fast. And having a conference game to open up the schedule is a little bit intimidating. And, of course, having to go essentially to the backyard of Georgia Tech, that will not be an easy initial matchup, especially for what is a very new team overall, especially offensively. Kind of based off what I've gathered, what I've been told, even what Brohm has said, though, the offense looks like it's going to be clicking on all cylinders. You kind of heard him say right there, his defense, they've still got some work ahead of them. So something to monitor as we go on into this regular season, which is soon to kick off. As I mentioned, September the 1st. And tonight at 11, you will hear from Coach Stoops for Kentucky. That is, of course, him addressing the media after fall camp's initial couple weeks here. We caught up with him a week ago, and he told us that things were starting out well. So if you're curious to hear what he has to say, tune in at 11 o'clock for that. Meanwhile, to the football field for high school football, we've got quite a few great schools in the area. Now, let me start by saying this. There are so many teams that have a real shot at making it to the state title. One of those teams that you really have to keep an eye on is Trinity. And there's nothing better than starting out by trying to avenge a loss, which that's what they're going to be doing when they face Bryan Station week 1, their first week this season.
Played a beautiful game against us last year. We didn't play real well.
They beat us last year. They knocked us out of the playoffs. Our goal was to win last year. We just couldn't get it done, but we're going to come fired up this year, and we're going to bring it.
A year after Trinity's 10-7 loss to Bryan Station in the playoffs, the Shamrocks with an opportunity to open on a high note against the same Defenders squad.
We don't play a lot into revenge stuff and things like that. We kind of look at it as a business thing.
Using their matchup as a measuring stick to see how they stack up against top competition.
So it'll be a good gauge and monitor as to where we are at the beginning of the year as to where we were at the end of the year.
We just want to come out and prove that we're a much better team than last year.
The Shamrocks bring back a number of key faces from prior seasons. That includes 6 starters on offense and 8 defensively.
This is a group that was very successful as freshmen, very successful as JV players.
We got a lot of seniors out here. Everybody knows that Trinity was on top at one point, and we're going to be back on top this year. A lot of guys out here have been 3-year starters. We just treat every other week like the same, no matter what team it is, no matter how good they are, what the record is. Just come in here every day with laser focus.
This is a Shamrocks team comprised primarily of veteran leaders.
Very rarely that a class comes into Trinity and walks out senior year without a ring on the finger, so there is definitely pressure.
With the number of returners to a successful program comes lofty goals and expectations.
What you're going to get from this football team is, again, a football team that's going to compete for the state title.
I think we are a very strong state championship caliber team.
That is a team determined to make it back to the state title. So keep an eye on Trinity. As I mentioned, Bryan Station, they will face off at home against them on Friday of next week. It's crazy to think about. In fact, it's this Friday. The kickoff is happening. And on top of that, another team with state title aspirations and a coach that is also searching for his 350th career win. Right now, he ranks 8th in the country as far as win total. That would be Coach Wallace and St. Xavier.
I think we got a chance to have a good team. I hope we're going to be better in November than we are right now.
It was an early exit in the playoffs for the Tigers a year ago.
Right in the back of your mind at all times. I mean, it's definitely been motivating us a lot this offseason.
But a new season means a new chapter for St. Xavier football.
They're going to create their own legacy, so there's no reason for us to stay in the rearview mirror.
Featuring an offense returning key weapons, including star quarterback Trevor Havel.
Your offense is definitely reloaded very well.
We've got more returning starters on offense, so that obviously is an area of the team that needs to carry us.
Meanwhile, the defense will have a slightly different look than a year ago.
Back deep, we're a lot younger than usual, but probably one of the most hardest working groups I've seen since I've been here. I feel like we're good pretty much in pass. Everybody fits their gaps, plays their role.
And as for Coach Wallace, the upcoming season is another opportunity for him to add to his legacy.
And he's obviously a great coach, and whatever he says goes, clearly, and he's helped me grow a lot as a quarterback, especially in the mental side of the game.
He's really a great coach, just outside of football too. He really helps us become better men. But then on the field, he's the best motivation you could have for anything you need. He's always there for you.
Right now, it's more about this team and getting our guys ready to play and try to see if we can compete for a state championship again.
So there you have it. 2 squads with a real shot at making a push to make it to the state championship. But it all starts with the very first week of the season. That would be this Friday, as I mentioned. And there's no better way to watch those games than by going in person, then going home and turning on Wave and watching Kendrick Haskins and myself as we will break down the highlights for you of their games included for our first Touchdown Friday night. Super excited. This will be my first time doing that show out here. I've been in Texas for high school football. I've been in California for high school football, naturally come to Kentucky. And it doesn't change just depending on the state. As far as people, their passion, the excitement for kickoff, there's no difference. And I'm super excited to see the difference when I actually go out on the field to see how Kentucky does it differently as far as game to game. But the feeling, the anticipation, that will never change. It's excitement. It's amazing. And it's something that I really look forward to. If you have a team or a school that you're rooting for, a school you think is going to make it to the state championship, feel free to comment them below. We'd love a little debate going on. But ultimately, those are 2 squads that could really turn the screw this upcoming year. We're going to transition to the basketball court and specifically down the road in Jeffersonville. Because this week, and specifically yesterday on Saturday, there was a certain familiar face from Louisville helping out with a skills and drills camp. And it was put on free for the entire group of kids. There was food in attendance at the field house in Jeffersontown. There he is, Peyton Siva, your national champion for U of L. Obviously really special. I want to point out Marlon Baker there as well. He was able to help put this thing on. It was really an awesome event because these kids having the opportunity to work with Peyton Siva and simply just getting the chance to ball out with one of the best from the region. And that was a really cool opportunity. Peyton talking about the opportunity just to be there and help his community, especially after calling Louisville his home.
I'm finally back here. We just recently moved back, my wife and I and our 2 kids. So it's a chance for me to get back to the community that I love. I've always had a passion for it.
Peyton Siva, man, his heart, his soul is pure. I like to think mine is the same way, and just good energy, 2 good people getting together and wanting to do something nice for the community.
Obviously really cool to see what he was able to do out there in Jeffersonville. And Peyton Siva is one of the best, man. He's just an awesome guy. And seeing him in his element, I mean, it was very clear he was in his element out there. So good work out there, Peyton Siva. We're going to go to our final topic, and that would be Major League Baseball. And I'm debating whether I give you the good news if you're a Reds fan now or in a couple minutes. And you know what? I'm just going to give it to you now. So the Reds, they lost their first game of the day. That's not the good news. They split the first 2 games of their series. Of course, they had a win against the Pirates on Friday. Saturday doubleheader, or Saturday rainout led to a doubleheader here on Sunday. So they lose the first game. Today did not look good for them. They were down 5-3 just a couple minutes ago. And all of a sudden, it's a tie game. It's 5-5. And the way that happened, Stuart Fairchild hitting a ground rule double, Henry Ramos scoring. How about 2 guys that were just in Louisville? They were just here getting the call to Cincinnati and making a statement. It seems like that's the story of this entire season. So the Cincinnati Reds and Pittsburgh Pirates, they are tied right now at 5 apiece. And the winner of this game wins the series as well. And it feels like it's do or die time if you're a Reds fan. You got to win every game possible considering the heat, the streak that the Cubs are on. And then, of course, the Brewers as well, trying to hold off a team that has, quite frankly, had the Reds numbers. So while we're on the topic of Major League Baseball, I had the chance this week to talk to a guy that came through Cincinnati. And this is just one of the stops that he's had on a 30-in-30 trip. What I mean by that, he is going to 30 MLB stadiums this month in 30 days, which is remarkable. Needless to say, Bill Cerna, not only is it impressive the way that he's planned this thing out, but on top of that, he's doing this for an incredibly important cause.
While I'm doing this, I'm trying to raise awareness and donations for the PTSD Foundation.
Bill Cerna is a Gray Star regional manager out of Dallas, and he's managing to watch a baseball game in all 30 MLB stadiums this month.
The company I work for actually rolled out a sabbatical for tenured employees, and I qualified on the first years.
On Tuesday, Cerna had made a stop at Great American Ballpark.
Cincinnati's right up there because it's got a great background. You got the river right behind you. You got the riverboat stacks that are right there that shoot out the fire. It ranks up there in the top 5.
And with his travels comes a good cause.
My company is really involved with the PTSD Foundation. That's very near and dear to my heart. So I wanted to kind of combine the both and spread awareness.
Using his journey as a way to assist veterans in need.
There are cities I'm actually taking veterans with me.
And educating others about PTSD.
PTSD Foundation and Camp Hope is based in Houston, and that was where I started. And it wasn't planned that way. It just kind of worked out that way. So I took veterans to that first game.
Today's the day, first day of the 30-in-30. I'm actually standing here at Camp Hope. As I get ready to do my first leg of my trip, which can be here at the Houston Astros.
Cerna, whose father and grandfather served in the military, is now doing his part to help out the cause.
I sat next to a family with a guy that has a friend that's really struggling with PTSD, and it's kind of like I was put there for a reason to give him the information needed.
By bringing America's national pastime to Americans that need it the most.
And to be able to take these guys to a game and just let them enjoy a game and sometimes hopefully take their minds off things of their struggles and just get a good laugh. It makes a huge difference.
Talk about a great human being doing an awesome thing. That is the coolest combo. Quite frankly, Bill is living my dream. So that is awesome. Good for him. He's on the road right now. He's going to be on the road for the next 15-ish days. So that's pretty amazing. So best travels, safe travels to him. Hope that this journey is one that is fulfilling for him at the end. It seems like he's touching a lot of lives. And I think that that's the most important part. To be able to bring baseball, to be able to touch lives in the process, that is so special. So hopefully that little story right there is a good way to wrap up your weekend as well. That will do it for us here on our weekend sportscast. Make sure to check in tonight at 11, as I mentioned, for our sportscast as well. I will have a recap of the Reds game 2. And also, I will have a little talk with Coach Stoops. So should be exciting. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to interact with myself or Kendrick Haskins, you can find us very easily at Wave News Sports on Twitter, the X as it's now called. You can also follow me at Dusty Baker TV. You can follow Kendrick at Kendrick Haskins on Twitter as well. You can also find us right here on Facebook. Anytime we do any of these Facebook Lives, feel free to comment your questions, any topics that you would like us to discuss. We are more than willing and open to do that as well. So happy football season, everybody. This coverage is going to be very football centric over the next few days. And if you're a Reds fan, I would tune in right now. It's a 5-5 game, bottom of the 8th inning, and should be super excited to watch the end of this thing. Anyways, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful evening with family, friends. Chill out, enjoy the night, and catch us at 11 o'clock. But until then, thank you so much for taking the time. This is Dusty Baker. I will see you tonight.